flying home. Ivan the Great is coming very fast at Tim Tai. Tim Tai, Ivan the Great. Here's the line. Photo finish. It's close. Tim Tai and an absolutely erupting Ivan the Great hit it together behind them. It was between El Ondeado and Soinan. Santa Anita Park. Experience world-class gaming, dining, and entertainment. Coming soon to Yamava Theater. Stevie Nicks, New Kids on the Block, and Keith Urban. And they're off. Perfect start. So I'm told, quick, Mark's hips, Solardi with natural good early foot on the outside. My numero uno is down at the rail, and at the back of the field is heavily favored Flavius. They move into the first turn, and it's Mark's hip to set the tempo. Solardi on the outside, and So I'm told cuts the corner. So I'm told comes right up to Mark's hip now. Those two head and head for the lead. So I'm told trying to drift out just a touch. A length and a half back to Solardi in third. At the rail, my numero uno is just 3 lengths off the lead, and behind him is Flavius. They move on to the backstretch. Mark's hip tugs his way to a length advantage. So I'm told second. Solardi comfortable in third. Then it's my numero uno, Flavius 5 off the lead coming to the half-mile pole, where Mark's hip is loose up top. Mark's hip now 2.5 in front. So I'm told second, similar margins. Solardi, my numero uno, and Flavius still on hold at the back, now 7 off Mark's hip, who tries to speed away. Mark's hip, 3.5 length lead. So I'm told closing in easily, though. Solardi under pressure, joined by Flavius, 3 deep. Flavius now takes third, and down at the rail, my numero uno. They're at the top of the stretch, and Flavius has a clear shot at the top 2 with 1/8 to go. It's Mark's hip, so I'm told. Flavius coming after them, my numero uno, and Solardi, a 16th to go. Mark's hip digging in. Flavius on the outside, grinding him down. Flavius will win it. Just hand-ridden, coaxed to the wire, scores by a little more than 1/2 length. Mark's hip was game in defeat. So I'm told finished third. $1 pick 6. They'll be at the gate in 25 minutes. In the gate. And they're off in the Lazaro Barrera. Tapalo gets the first call out of the gate, opens up a length and a half. Ball don't lie to Pseudo. And Hard-Headed is on the inside. Just 3 lengths covers the field as they get to the main track. And so it will be Tapalo over the heavy favorite. Ball don't lie. 3/4 back tracking second. Hard-Headed takes third on the inside of Tessudo. Past the 5/8 pole. And Tapalo opens it up to nearly 2. Ball don't lie at the rail. Hard-Headed and Tessudo well off the fence. They come to the half-mile pole. Hector Barrios and Tapalo uncontested. Ball don't lie. Hard-Headed on the fence. 3.5 off the lead. 2 more back to Tessudo past the 3/8 pole. It's been a lonely lead for Tapalo. Ball don't lie. Set down, trying to get after Tapalo, who's doing it nicely on the front end. Tapalo comes to the quarter pole with a 3.5 length lead now. Ball don't lie under the whip in second as Tapalo drifts out. A commanding lead coming to the 8th pole. It's Tapalo by 5. Ball don't lie, followed by Tessudo and Hard-Headed. Lights out. Tapalo came to play today, and he overwhelms the competition in the Lazaro Barrera Stakes. Tapalo romps by 7 lengths. Ball don't lie, and a very tight photo. That could go either way for third between Tessudo and Hard-Headed. Grays, they'll be next. And they're off. Disco Tribute, Embarrassed in the Bold, out for the lead. Proof He Rides is now coming through along the inside. And so it's Disco Tribute and Proof He Rides dueling on the front end. Two clear, Embarrassed in the Bold in third. Gimme the Loot is fourth, 3 lengths off the pace. It's another 3 back to Grazed. Proof He Rides narrowly past the half-mile pole, or he will be doing so shortly, and leads by a half a length. In second, Disco Tribute. 2 lengths back to Gimme the Loot. Embarrassed in the Bold right together. The gray is Grazed. Rounding the far turn, Proof He Rides, hounded throughout by Disco Tribute. Disco Tribute hard-ridden, trying to keep pace second. Embarrassed in the Bold is racing a joint third. Gimme the Loot has saved every inch of ground down at the rail. 2 more back to Graze, top of the stretch. And Disco Tribute and Proof He Rides have been going at it. Proof He Rides still just in front. Disco Tribute trying to push by him. There's room for Gimme the Loot, trying to get through a narrow opening. Embarrassed in the Bold and Grazed. Proof He Rides, resilient on the front end, and it's Proof He Rides. Would not be denied under Kyle Frey, turning away Disco Tribute. Behind them, Gimme the Loot, Grazed, Embarrassed in the Bowl. And leads by a half a length. In second, Disco Tribute. 2 lengths back to Gimme the Loot, Embarrassed in the Bold right together. The gray is Grazed. Rounding the far turn, Proof He Rides, hounded throughout by Disco Tribute. Disco Tribute hard-ridden, trying to keep pace second. And in the gate. And they're off. Fast start for Raising Silver, straight to the front. Betty Pack comes through along the inside, and in between them, Epion is right there with them too. Anza Sky is next, and Moonlight Tryst at the back of the field. 5 lengths covers them, and Betty Pack is the quickest of the quick. Leads it by a length to the half-mile pole. Epion in hand second, followed by Anza Sky, 1 from the outside. Raising Silver outside of her. Now it's 6 or 7 back to Moonlight Tryst. They're heading to the 3/8 pole. Betty Pack, Epion looming large, a half length back second. Raising Silver set down, asked for a bit more in third. Another 2 to Anza Sky. Moonlight Tryst is starting to roll now, but still a lot of work to do. They're coming to the quarter pole, and it's Betty Pack still there by a length. Raising Silver on the outside, Epion in between them, 3/16 to go, and Betty Pack hugs the rail and goes on strongly. It's a 3-length lead with a furlong left to go. Epion into second. Moonlight Tryst continues to make headway on the outside. She's closing stoutly past the 16th pole. Betty Pack getting weary. Moonlight Tryst coming fast. It's going to be very close. 4 of them come for the wire. Moonlight Tryst in the shadow of the wire in a tight photo with Raising Silver, Epion, and Betty Pack. What a race. Up next to 7th in 23 minutes. A little bit of movement there from Freedom Lass. And they're off. Indy Star in the center of the course here's Worthy of Magic up to take the lead pretty easily. Dream Princess moves into second. Here's Ice Queen sprinting up, and the pace will be honest as Ice Queen comes right by Worthy of Magic to take command. Dream Princess in third. Indy Star, Cancel Woman Jilly is on the outside in fifth, 7 lengths off the pace. It's another 2 back to Zayarat, inside Freedom Lass, and 3 more to Dolly May. Around the first turn, and Ice Queen moving right along leads the way by a length. As Worthy of Magic comes right back to re-engage in second. They try to slow things down on the front end, leaving Indy Star right off horse's heels on the inside of Dream Princess fourth. Then Councilwoman Jilly, 4 lengths off the lead. Zayarat moves up inside of Freedom Lass past the half-mile pole. As they take much closer order, Dolly May is at the back, 7 lengths front to back now, as Ice Queen takes them into the far turn. Worthy of Magic, though, reclaims the lead, and Worthy of Magic can wait no longer, sprints sequence up. Dream Princess moves into second. Outside of them, Councilwoman Jilly. Indy Star, yellow colors threading through traffic. Freedom Last will have to go very wide while advancing. Dolly May moving through in the red down at the rail. They turn for home, and Worthy of Magic with a 2-length lead. Dream Princess in second. Clear shot for Indy Star, who's starting to motor home in the center of the course. And then Dolly May coming to the 16th pole, and Indy Star is up to take the lead. And it's a battle all the way to the wire. Indy Star does get there. Dream Princess second. Dolly May with good energy third. Zayarat fourth. Fifth was between Worthy of Magic and Freedom Last. It's official. The 8 scratch 4 escape. And they're off. Beautiful start. Mano Rose is quick, but here comes Kingdom Heart flying through along the inside, and Kingdom Heart takes over. Mano Rose now second. Good with People, a clear-cut third, heading to the half-mile pole. Then Principe Carlo and Love Sick Blues. Al Segur has the pedal to the metal on Kingdom Heart, blazing the way by 3. Mano Rose is in second. Good with People between rivals. Principe Carlo on the outside, and Lovesick Blues hugs the rail and starts to inch up. 3 furlongs out, and it's Kingdom Heart with the lead, still in front by 3. Mano Rose taking aim from second. Another 3, Good with People, followed by Principe Carlo and Lovesick Blues. They pass the quarter pole and turn for home. Kingdom Heart just in front. Mano Rose comes to engage at the 8th pole, and Mano Rose runs on by. In the center, Good with People is trying hard and starting to make a little bit of headway. On the inside of him, Lovesick Blues. It's Mano Rose past the 16th pole. He's too strong. Mano Rose wins it by 3. Lovesick Blues finished nicely second. Then it was Principe Carlo, Good with People, and Kingdom Heart. And it. They're in the gate. And they're off. Beautiful beginning. Capital Outlay is quickest out of the gate. Western Grit has sharp early speed. Finner's Golden Sense along the rail in third. Don't Hit Me Bash 4 off the pace in fourth. Then Only Alleged inside Chispa Roja. Special Club is just inside of that pair. It's another 2 back to Steffortless. On the inside is Keep It Coming. Around the far turn, it's Western Grit, Capital Outlay, head and head for the lead. Don't Hit Me Bash, Good Trip, 2 off them in third. Down at the rail, Finner's Golden Sense. Special Club is 5 lengths off the lead. Another 3, Keep It Coming, starting to rally from behind. They're at the top of the stretch. Capital Outlay, Western Grid have been head-to-head throughout. Big strides from Special Club, though, and Special Club takes aim and is going to blow right by them late. It's Special Club and Juan Hernandez just cruising to the wire, wrapped up. It'll be close for second, a no doubt about it W. Keep It Coming finished with a flourish in second. And then the minor awards among Capital Outlay, along with Don't Hit Me Bash. Finner's Golden Sense was in that group with Western Grit.
family, but he's a seasoned veteran when it comes to calling the races. He's been a track announcer since 1999. Those of you who are poor at math, that puts him at a 25-year tenure. He's been a longtime friend and a colleague of mine as well. His name, he's the track announcer at Golden Gate Fields, Bill Downs. Billy D, happy Friday. Welcome to the seminar.
TQ, it is just memory lane for yours truly. I got here last night, and even the drive here was bringing up the memories.
Well, let's tell the viewers why that is, because back before you started calling the races, you were actually at Clocker's Corner announcing who the workers were. I'm old enough to remember that.
Yeah, and then there was an old job called the results position, which is like antiquated technology.
Was that a 1-900 number? Or?
No, but it was free.
Okay.
So it wasn't like the $2 a minute type of thing. You would call it up and get the results of Santa Anita, and I actually worked for Hollywood Park even back in the day as well. And both tracks had results lines. I would call the sports radio station with results. KNX, they used to have the stretch calls.
Darren Rogers was the man on the scene here before going to Churchill Downs as the publicity director. He was a young pup just like you.
Yeah, exactly. So all those memories came crashing through my brain once again. I even got up to the rooftop before the races here, and I used to practice race calls, seriously practice race calls on the rooftop, and then I would play those races. Trevor would listen, but the late Luke Kreitboss, because
he was a mentor of yours.
Yes, and he was at Hollywood Park at the time, and so I would have some of these race calls for the end of Santa Anita, and I play them for him at Hollywood Park.
Did he give you some harsh criticism?
Oh, he loved it. He was like, "This is better than listening to the radio."
Now, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's been quite some time since you've been to the Great Race Place, but let's face it, it hasn't changed that much in the last couple decades.
No, it's wonderful. It's since 2012. Is the last time I was here. I was playing in the Breeders' Cup betting challenge.
That's right. That's a bad memory.
That is a bad memory, but we all have those memories. If you're
from a gambling standpoint.
Yeah, from a gambling. I still made plenty of money, but I could have made, I think I would have finished top 10 if Mucho Macho Man would have defeated Fort Larned. And little did I know, I had a friend who was also playing. I'm like, "What'd you do?" He said the same darn thing. We both were with our tail between our legs back to the hotel, but it was such a fun experience playing. And my late dad was here. He was out there in the infield underneath the Jumbotron, watching the races, drinking beers left and right. I go out and see him as well. So it was, that's the last time. I'm like, I asked my girlfriend, I said, "Has it really been 12 years? He's like, "It's been 12 years. So I'm like, well, once Golden Gate canceled, I'm already out here on the left coast. And we were trying to get a date earlier in the meet. And once this came up, I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it right now.
You and I have something in common, Billy. Our love for horse racing actually started at Arlington Park. You kind of grew up in the Chicago area, as did I. You mentioned your late dad. I believe he was the first one to bring you to the track. And as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, my dad was just a racing fan. Later in life, he became a horse owner. Just little pieces here and there. He had a stakes winner by the name of Taylor Madison. He was, very small owner, but just
he had
a
passion for the game.
He did. He had a friend who was a Churchill stockholder way back when, and he got tickets. He went to the Derby many, many years. I think only missed like about 2 in about 40 years. One time he had emergency gallbladder surgery, so that kind of put him on the shelf. But he went to Breeders' Cups as well. It's just like I mentioned, the one in 2012, yep. And he was a big racing fan. Passed away a few years back. Got to call a race in his honor at Arlington. John Dooley made sure that got done, and Howard Sudbury, a Chicago sportscaster.
Sure, legend.
Yeah. He was very helpful in that as well. And grew up at Arlington, even Hawthorne Sports, the old Sportsman's Park. Those are found a YouTube video of the old races at Sportsman's.
Maywood Park and Washington Park, if you're a real degenerate for harness.
I don't. Yeah, that's a little bit before my time, but Maywood Park as well, the bull ring. So lots of good memories growing up in Chicago.
You mentioned a season ticket holder, and one other thing that your dad did is he's a lifelong Green Bay Packers season ticket holder as well. How many years have those tickets been in the family?
He always told me he got them pre-Vince Lombardi, so the late 50s.
And they're pretty good seats.
Oh, yeah. They're right on 45-yard line. 45-yard line on the aisle.
You're never going to give those up. Nor should you.
Yeah, I don't have a kid, so we're going to have to have a pretty good run here before.
You got a racetrack family you can bequeath it to.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I'll have to read the fine print.
I mentioned that you've been a track announcer, Billy D, for 25 years. And, of course, I know your resume, but a lot of the viewers maybe have heard your race calls, but lost track of where you've called at. Give us a rundown of some of the tracks you called at, and I'll fill in the spaces if you miss one or two.
All right. So let's let's see, Arapahoe Park was the first one, then Beulah Park outside of Columbus, Ohio.
You worked with the Beulah twins.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, Katie and Jenna. Katie and Jenna, you're watching? Hi, but I don't think they're watching.
They were regular old school people, right? They just happened to be, you know, they liked racing just like the rest of us.
Yeah, they worked as mutual clerks. And then Mike Weiss, my boss, plucked them out and said, here you go.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, at the time, it was
He was trying to differentiate himself in the simulcast market, and that was one way to do it.
Exactly.
So after Beulah, where'd you continue your trails?
All right, so it was a couple years at River Downs, and then let's see here. I had
Ellis Park.
Presque Isle was the first announcer at Presque Isle Downs outside of Erie, Pennsylvania. Then Ellis Park after Luke passed away. Then Indiana Grand.
You were there for quite some time. Indiana
Grand, yeah, about 9 years at Indiana Grand, and then Emerald Downs for 2 years. And I loved it up there too, by the way. And now I'm a Mariners fan, so I've picked up the Mariners habit. And then this past year, with Dinnerman going to Monmouth and Oaklawn Park, so decided to change my tack and couldn't pass up going to Golden Gate.
And you and I have talked off air. The Bay Area is a great place to be if you're a sports fan. I mean, it really is rich in sports. It's a fun area. I was able to spend a lot of time up there myself in years past. I really like the Bay Area and the racing at Golden Gate Fields.
Yeah, Golden Gate, the turf course is outstanding. I really have enjoyed the turf races. Sports-wise, of course, you got a couple baseball teams for one more summer as well, with Oakland Athletics leaving the scene. But I've gotten over to Oracle Park, got over to the Coliseum. I actually went to, on the side of the bay where Cal is at.
Sure.
So I've went to a baseball game, went to a basketball game. I haven't gotten down to Stanford or anything like that, but I even went over to NBA game, Sacramento versus my Indiana Pacers, which is only about
easy to get to.
Yeah, only a couple hours away.
Close by if you want to go to Tahoe.
Yeah. So I've gotten around a little bit. Even got down to San Jose for a pro wrestling event. I'm a very unique character, to say the least, in terms of my sports interests.
Most handicappers are eccentric, and we know you're a serious handicapper if you played in the BCBC. How do you differentiate, Billy, when you're in the announcer's booth? You're handicapping versus the reality of what's going on the track.
Well, when you're announcing, you have to concentrate on the announcing. You can play. I'm allowed to play because I don't affect. My microphone goes off. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Except maybe someone going, "What the heck's going on, Bill?" But besides that, I could. I don't affect the race calls. They don't really affect
race
me too
results.
Much. Yeah, race results. And as long as you're able to keep it in check. So, it's first and foremost, you're being paid to do a job. So that's always the first priority.
Right. But, the results might vary very differently from the way you handicap the race. And you've got to kind of adjust on the fly because you see your tickets being shredded in real time based upon what's happening out on the racetrack.
Yeah. I'm always looking for how the race is going to play out. And that's one of the things I think I bring as an announcer, that I actually know how to handicap a race. And there's certainly other announcers who follow that forte. And, so I'm always trying to look at the race and if it plays out that way, then it's great. If not, they're going 40 miles per hour. So got to adjust on the fly.
Speaking of adjusting on the fly, this is a tough question to condense your answer into for 30 seconds, but how do you evaluate when you're handicapping Southern California synthetic horses coming down to run on a main track? Do you draw a line through the synthetic form? Like how do you incorporate synthetic form on real dirt?
It is to a point, but I'm always just looking for quality if they're coming down here. If they got quality, then that's the number one factor. So
we've got quality because we've got Bill Downs as our seminar guest today. We're going to find out who he likes on today's 8-race card. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone, over to San Anita's track announcer Frank Miramani and get the early changes on today's card here at the Great Race Place.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the Great Race Place. The track is fast, the turf is firm, the rail on the turf is out 30 feet for today's action. Here are the early changes. In the first, number 5, Scorpion Shot, carries 1 pound over. In the second, there's no show wagering with the scratch of number 1, Miss Ives. Race 2, scratch number 1. The $1 pick 6 will begin with the third race, number 5, Sunday Sun, 2 pounds over. Race 4 kicks off the late pick 5. It's also the start of the $3 all-turf pick 3. The all-turf pick 3 this afternoon is on races 4, 6, and 8. Scratch 5, Johnny Drama. There's no high 5 wagering. In the fifth, no show wagering. Scratch number 5, Grazia. Race 5, take out the 5, no show wagering. In the sixth, no high 5 wagering with the scratch of number 3, Helatic. Race 6, scratch number 3. In the seventh, number 3, Warren's Wild Ride, 1 pound over. And in the eighth, the program scratch of number 2, Roses and Chrome. Overweight, 6, Queen Berkeley, 2 over. 7, Respect the Crown, 2 over. And number 9, Queen Gervin, 1 pound over. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. We have drink specials, free admission Fridays, free parking throughout the meet. Post time for the opener is coming up in 59 minutes at 1 p.m. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. Tom's special guest for the seminar today is Golden Gate Field's track announcer and longtime Santa Anita employee, Bill Downs.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Bill Downs. He's the current track announcer up at Golden Gate Fields. It's our pleasure to have him here today. He's been calling the races in excess of 25 years, so he certainly knows his way around the racetrack and around a microphone as well. He also, as you heard Frank Miramati say, previously worked here at Santa Anita doing a multitude, I should say, of chores. Billy, before we take a look at today's 8-race card, just a question for you. I see you have the PPs printed out right in front of you. When you kind of look at the PPs for the very first time, what kind of handicapper are you? Are you a class guy, speed guy, pedigree guy, trainer pattern guy? Like, kind of give us a glimpse into how you handicap a card.
Every race, I'm always looking to, pace makes the race.
Okay.
And then you take a look at class as well. I like to watch a lot of videos. That's probably one of the things I think I do well. I know that there's some guys out there, Trip Note pros, who
Benny South Street.
Benny, of course, my man Benny and all that with those very detailed trip notes. I don't look at every single horse.
Sure.
If a horse, his last race or even a race before interests me, I will go watch that race, and I think I do a decent job in evaluating that. But pace makes the race. It's always about the speed.
As an announcer, you have to have very good recall, but then you have to discharge everything out of your mind as well. When you look at the PPs, do you recall the races themselves? Are you able to actually recall the races in your mind?
Yeah, you do have to have short-term memory where you might have the same owner,
same silks
5 times during a day, and so you got to forget about who it was the race 2 and race 4 because race 6 is coming up.
Sure.
Now, has it happened where I call the 4th or 2nd race a horse? Of course. Lots of stuff happens when you call the races for as long as I have, or Frank and whatnot. But you do your best and forget the rest, if you will.
It's live TV, right? Mistakes are going to happen. You don't get a second chance, and that's one thing I admire about track announcers like yourself and Frank and others, is that you do an admirable job 99.9% of the time. Yet you're always going to beat yourself up for that 0.1% when you make a mistake.
Yeah, you always kind of know in the back of your head if you screwed up, and then when you play it back, you're like, son of a gun. But hopefully that doesn't happen too often.
Well, hopefully you won't screw up with your handicapping.
No, I got all the winners.
Of course you do. Keep one for yourself. We're going to rely on you to pick 8 winners on today's card. Kicking things off, Billy, in race number 1, we're on the main track. We're fast and firm today, but in race 1, we're on the main track. 1 mile and 1/16 is the distance. It's for maiden claimers. $20,000 of the tag. Race 1 begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. We've got a field of 7. Number 1 is a first-time gelding. Welcome back to Southern California, Joe Talamo. This is his first ride back. He announced earlier in the week that He'll be riding for the end of the meet here as well as down at Del Mar for the summer. So good to see him and his family back in town. The morning line favorite originally was number 2, Big Drinker, at 9-5 on John White's morning line. But the first time getting on the rail is the current betting choice at 8-5. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Billy, a couple of contenders in this race are number 2, Big Drinker, and number 3, Luther Pass. They actually ran against each other last time they competed, which was back on April 19th. That distance was a mile. Today's distance is a mile and a 16th, and they're going to be easy to follow along in this replay we're about to watch. They break from post positions 9 and 10. Luther Pass has a lot more speed. Big Drinker is going to make a late rally while being wide. So let's listen to Frank Miramati describe the action back on April 19th and watch the runners breaking from post positions 9 and 10.
And they're off. Luther Pass is sent out for the early lead. Potential Spam up close. Soldatna, Audible Silence. Topper's Wager moving through along the inside. He's in 5th. Down at the rail now, angling off the fence as they round the first turn. Running for Kosi is next, racing 7 lengths off the battle up top. Chrome to Riches follows and passes that rival. A couple of more lengths to Big Drinker, outside Tap It Down, and Classic Alfie trails. It's Luther Pass at the 5/8 pole, leading by a neck. Soldatna at the rail in second, and now Soldatna puts that gray head in front. Another 2 back to Audible Silence, tracking the top pair from 3rd, and Topper's Wager has 5 lengths to make up. Big Drinker, Potential Spam right together. Chrome to Riches is next, asks for a bit more, a length and a half to Tap It Down, and running for Kosi. They have 3/8 of a mile to run. Soldatna, Luther Pass have been going at it throughout. Audible Silence coming after them in 3rd. Big Drinker is starting to hustle up as Potential Spam is just outside of him, and Topper's Wager down at the rail. A quarter of a mile to go, and Luther Pass puts away Soldatna, racing well off the rail, but Big Drinker continues to make solid headway, and Potential Spam in the center of the racetrack. Luther Pass at the 8th pole. Potential Spam on the outside, grinding away, and in between those two, Big Drinker, Potential Spam has taken the lead close to home, and it's Potential Spam to prevail.
Billy D. Luther Pass had to duel with the favorite for most of the race. Big Drinker loomed up and then kind of flattened out. But as we watch the gallop out here, the inside 2 runners are Big Drinker and Luther Pass. They're both seem that they're going to like a mile and a 16th distance. This is a real good way to kick off the card. Who do you like in race 1 and why?
I did go with Luther Pass for the reasons that you mentioned. He took pressure the entire way. He dueled with a favorite, not necessarily a big long shot or anything like that. And even though he got past in the stretch, I didn't think he gave up. He didn't give up at all, and it still finished a very credible 3rd. I also used the 6 Bring Him Home as my second choice. Last time out, off of a very long layoff, was dead last early on in the race. Looked like he just kind of needed the race. The winner of that race was a 2-5 heavy favorite. I like the gallop out. We're going back to a mile and a 16th, going to a 2-turn route race. His best race came in a sprint, but he ran all right in a maiden special weight race back on October 8th of last year here at Santa Anita. If the 3, Luther Pass and Citadino, both are in sets of pretty good fractions, I thought Bring Him Home could be a nice price for trainer Eric Cooljack.
3 and 6 in race number 1. So says our seminar guest Bill Downs, track announcer at Golden Gate Fields. Let's turn the page, Billy. Take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick 4. This time we're on the turf course sprinting. 6 furlongs of the distance. The rails today are at 30 feet. This race is for fillies and mares in for a $40,000 tag. Scratch the 1. Leaves us with a field of 4, including 2 trained by Peter in the morning line favorite number 2, YOLO Calls, who's 2-1 on the morning line. Before we get your thoughts on the race, courtesy of our friends at xbtv.com, let's watch a workout for the Invader, number 4, Shangri-Lama. Shangri-Lama, as we watch this workout, is going to be on the outside here. I want you to pay attention to who the workmate is. The workmate is a runner by the name of Big Buzz. Longtime Southern California fans will recognize Big Buzz. Off this workout back on April 10th, Big Buzz actually won a $20,000 claiming race on dirt on April 19th. So this proved to be, quote unquote, a productive workout. Now, Shangri-Lama is going to be first-time Lasix, first time in this country, first time time that she'll be running since December of 2022. She ran over in Ireland, and she actually liked the poly track more than the turf course that she's going to run on today. But just looking at the way that she's kind of coming down the track and covering ground, and the time is relatively legit, I thought this was a decent workout, particularly because in her last race, which was a long time ago, she beat a field of 14, carrying 133 pounds as the 5-2 favorite. I kind of like her, but you're going in a different direction. Tell us why.
Well, this is a race that doesn't have a whole lot of early speed. So I was between the 5 and the 2. You mentioned the 4. The only thing I'll mention about the 4, one thing I like to do is look up how horses come out of certain races, especially over in Europe. Spending a little bit of time over in Europe, I got to know some of the tracks. I never got to Dundalk in Ireland, but no, too many horses did well out of those last couple of races.
How do you find that information, Bill? Do you actually have to grunt it out, or is there somewhere where you can?
You can go to attheraces.com, which is one of the big European forum sites, and it's a free. You have to have an email account, which everyone does.
Sure.
And it's all free.
Most horse players do. I wouldn't say everybody, but most horse players.
Well, yeah, I hope so at least. But this time,
because it's an interesting tool. This is information you can supplement to the daily racing form that's not apparent to most players.
Yeah, I know some of the DRF people, formulator people can look up all that stuff, but I kind of like to see the whole field and kind of see the texture of the race as well.
And what they've done since then.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something that I looked up there. I went with She's Got Away.
The other Urton.
Yeah, but they're both going to be, I think, first and second. So I think John got the line right. She's Got Away. A little bit of a layoff. Didn't get off to a great start. And, like I said, there's not a whole lot of early speed. That's my big question mark with her, but makes a little bit of a drop in class. I thought watching the race back that she has more to offer. She really wasn't asked for her best in that race. Jockey stays back aboard, so I like that. So She's Got Away. And then Yolo Calls, 3 starts back, it got undressed in the stretch, and then the wind, I thought she had more to offer. And then last time out, just taking out a little bit tougher, a legit starter allowance race off of a short layoff, kind of ran evenly in this race. I think this is a much easier spot for her. And like I said, there's not a whole lot of early speed in this race. So I put 5-2, but I could very easily go 2-5. But I do think Pete Urton's got the stranglehold on this race, even though you make a case for the 4 with that decent workout that we saw.
Race number 3 begins the $1 pick 6 sequence. We're back on the main track. 2 turns is the distance, 1 mile. Main claiming Caliber, it's $50,000 is the claiming tag. Steve Knapp trains 2 in here, including the 5-year-old maiden number 3, Dark Marcus, who's the 8-5 morning line favorite. Dark Marcus has had plenty of chances up to this point. As a matter of fact, 21 without visiting the winner's circle. Will the 20-second start be the charm?
Not at that. I'm not going to take a low price on
not
him.
At 8-5.
No,
right?
no. It got claimed 2 starts back from the Miller Barn. Then they went to Phoenix and just kind of ran around the track there. It's just when you get up to about over 20, of
course
I've had my doubts. You mentioned the other. Knapp's got a couple in there. Sunday Sun, who I put as my second choice. His debut, he got off to a slow start. It was his own fault. He was, had the rail. A lot of times, first-time starters from the rail have sluggish starts, and Sunday Sun certainly did that. And then last time, that wasn't bad. It wasn't, it was an okay race. This is the first runner from the dam, so not a lot of pedigree power. From the dam side, Yoshida, we all remember, pretty good turf horse, but middle distance type horse. So Sunday Sun, I don't know what to do breeding wise. I did go with the one T1 Deflower Free, which is a tongue twister. Sometimes horses take a little bit of time to figure things out. And I watched the race back on April the 5th. I just liked the horse's energy. I thought he had some. He started to show some try, and we're going from maiden 32 back to maiden claiming 50, but it's a Calbred race. First time going erotic ground, has an inside post. So I thought the one offered a little bit more of intrigue for me and a much bigger price, 10-1 in John White's morning line. In a race that you got that 0-for-21 horse as the favorite. And, I'm not big on Spot Doral, though he's got a lot of early speed, but I'll go 1-5 in the third.
Here's a note I have in my DRF formulator notes, Billy D, for your top choice, number 1, last time out. He ran on April 5th. I felt that the rail and dirt sprints was excellent and the outside was no good. With that outside post that your top selection had, certainly his energy that he showed was probably better than it looks on paper, because in my opinion, he was running against a bias. So that certainly upgrades his chances, particularly at a lucrative morning line of 10-1. Race number 4, we're back sprinting on the turf course. 6 furlongs is the 6 furlongs in the turf is the distance. Also race 4 begins the 50-cent late pick 5, as well as the $3 all turf pick 3. This is a race for $30,000 claimers, non-winners of 3 races lifetime. Scratch the 5, Johnny Drama leaves us with a field of 6, and number 7, I'm a Lucky Man from the Red Hot Mark Glatt barn is the 8-5 morning line favorite. Glatt can do no wrong lately. Is he going to add to his win total here?
I put him second. This is the race I had the most difficulty figuring out, and I wish I liked some of these long shots, but I really don't in this race. I went with Man Overboard, who last time out ran in a dirt route race, showed a lot of speed, battled the entire way, and then dropped back in the stretch. He'll get a lot out of the race, I think. Now he's going back to turf in his 2 turf races, which were 3 and 4 starts back, were off the board finishes, but I didn't think either race was that poor. He's kind of gone from different barns. So I went with him, though I'm a Lucky Man, as you mentioned. Glatt's doing great here. I think I liked him last time out in that starter allowance race, and he kind of disappointed me. So I went back with him. But this is the race. This is the race where my opinion is not the strongest in the world, but I did go for 7.
Billy, a question for you, not related to today's races, but it does relate to Golden Gate Fields. I've always said that there's a lot of talented jockeys and trainers up north, and if you look back through the history books, that certainly has proven to be true. Martin Garcia, Joel Rosario, Kyle Frey, Juan Hernandez, the list is kind of endless. They all started plying their tray up north and then came down south. With the impending closure of Golden Gate Fields, are there 1 or 2 jockeys you maybe have your eye on that might be able to compete down here in Southern California?
Yeah, Alexander Chavez comes to mind. He tends to catch my eye in races. Anton Georgie's pretty good. He was back here when he first started out.
Wrote for Paul
So
Aguirre.
we'll see if he shows back up here. It's going to be interesting to see. After June, they might stay around for the fairs, but whether or not you saw who went, Roman went to
Evan Roman, correct.
Yeah, went to Kentucky and riding at Indiana, my old
And doing
stopping
well.
ground, and doing okay. Indiana, where I think he's one of the best probably at Indiana. So I know he struggled a little bit at Turfway to get going, but once he got some more opportunities at Indiana, things started to perk up for Evan.
Northern California, always a sneaky place that has developed excellent talent, both from a jockey and trainer standpoint. Let's take a look at race number 5, Billy. We're back 2 turning on the main track, 1 mile the distance. It's for 3-year-old fillies, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. Also, race 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 4. Speaking of 4, we've got a field of 4 after the scratch of number 5. The morning line favorite, a well-bred daughter of Tap at number 2. Jane Austen is the 9-5 morning line favorite. Although it's only a 4-pack, you could kind of make a case that any of these 4 could win. Who do you like?
Yeah, I went with the 2 Jane Austen for Glatt. What I liked about her win is that she waited behind horses. A lot of times these maiden races just kind of overwhelming speed, and they overwhelm the rest and they break their maiden. But she was covered up and she wore down a 4-5 favorite in that debut win on April 21st. And I just liked her running style, and there's not a whole lot of early speed in the race. So in theory, the 3 for Baffert, who broke the maiden on debut, and then that race on April 21st, where in theory finished 3rd, stumbled to start. Yeah, it was her own fault, but it was a major stumble, I thought, in my opinion, and cost her at least 2-3 lengths at the bare minimum. She made a bold bid to get in contention, then faded back to 3rd. And in a race like this, she's trying 2 turns for the first time, but bred decently on sire's side. So I don't think 2 turns will be the worst thing in the world for her. She needs to break better, but she's probably the one to catch. And then you got those her Paradise Arizona Oaks horses who finished 1st and 2nd back on March 14th. And, the Secura Blossom made a couple of moves in that race and won the race by a nose over Pink Whitney. But I just think that the 2 favorites are a little bit better than those two Arizona Oaks fillies in race 5.
Here's one statistic for number 4, Pick Whitney, and it relates to her trainer, Doug O'Neill. Doug O'Neill has really been on a tear lately with his turf to dirt horses, which is exactly what Pink Whitney's doing. I'm not saying that I like her in the race, but I am interested to see how she performs because of his last 15 turf to dirt runners. The O'Neill barn has hit the winner's circle 8 times. That's 53%. So he certainly looks like he's legging his horses up on the turf course, then switching them over to the main track, and they're all firing, like I said, at a 53% wing clip. Let's take a look at race number 6. Abbreviated sprint distance of 5 furlongs, and the turf course is the distance. $50,000 is the claiming tag. Scratch the 3, leaves us with a field of 6. Morning line favorite number 2, McKinnon, taking a drop down in class for the aforementioned Doug O'Neill, is the 2-1 morning line favorite. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Billy, we want to hear you call a race, so I decided to pull up the replay for number 6, Idaho Once. This was a returnee who was coming back off a long layoff for trainer Victor Trujillo. Idaho Once, as you can see if you have the past performances in front of you, has had 7 career starts. 6 times he's finished first or second, and now they bring him down to Southern California for the very first time. Let's listen to Billy D describe the action back on April 12th. It was the 7th race at Golden Gate, and watch Idaho Once go gate to wire.
And they're off. Looks like a competitive start. Idaho Once off the long layoff gets that early lead. Major Tom's on the outside. Second, Artbold Prince in third. Cardiff Kraken fourth. Dancing Rebel towards the inside fifth. Only about 3 lengths off the lead. A gap of 5 to Trinidad is about a length in front of Satanta, who's in the 7th and trailing position. It's Idaho Once with a half mile to go with the lead by a length and a half. Then we got quartet of chasers in that middle cluster. Artbold Prince, white blinkers into second. Dancing Rebel towards the inside. Major Tom wide. Cardiff Crack now getting shuffled. Then 2 lengths at Trinidad in second last. And Satanta is at the back of the pack and about 5.5 lengths off the lead. A quarter of a mile left to travel. Idaho Once has the lead. Artbold Prince fully extended. Dancing Rebel at the fence. Major Tom is next. Trinidad looking out for some racing room. Satanta's on the grandstand side as they got 1 furlong to go. Idaho Once with the lead by 3 lengths over Dancing Rebel and Satanta. Then it's Artbold Prince and Trinidad in deep stretch. Idaho Once, Satanta on the outside. Satanta lunging in. It's a photo between Idaho Once and Satanta.
Billy, good news and bad news. That distance that we just watched the replay for was 6 furlongs in the synthetic track. It was also his first effort off an 11-month layoff. But as you so accurately put so far, pace makes the race, and it sure looks like there's a lot of early speed in this race.
Yep, Devil Moon, Biddy the Coin, they both got high octane early speed, and Please Focus will probably be right behind the speed in fourth, about 5 furlongs in the turf. Might get stuck out a little bit wide. So I think the 2 favorites, Doncic and McKinnon. So it's either basketball or hockey. And I do like basketball a whole lot, even though I do like hockey. But Doncic coming off a layoff, but Doncic has run well fresh. He has a couple of wins going off of layoffs. So the layoff doesn't bother me at all. And, last time out, it steadied early. It was coming down the hill. He got very close to the outer rail there, and he just didn't run that well. But in the win on January 28th, he had a lot of early trouble in that race, and then the win he got 3 starts back. On January 5th, he was very, very game in the win. McKinnon's dropping out of a stakes race. Last time he was in an optional claiming race, he finished a good second, so certainly does fit for O'Neill. But, you like 2 favorites. You got to really kind of make a choice. And so my choice will be the 1 Doncic in the 6th.
Race number 7, we're sprinting 6 furlongs in the main track for fillies and mares, $16,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. We've got a field of 6. Number 2, Keychain Girls, second off the long layoff for the Keith Craigmile barn, is the 9-5 morning line favorite. 6 different ways you can go here. Billy, which way are you going?
I went with a little bit of a price, the 5 Corporal Violet for Manuel Ortiz. Last time went a route at ground. I don't know if routing is her forte. And we're also going from turf to dirt. Now, her 1 dirt race was bad, but she did get off to a pretty bad start in the race, and it was her own fault. But they haven't tried the dirt once again. Last time out was going a turf route at Turf Paradise. The race at Santa Anita on March the 15th, I thought it was a better than looked effort. The trouble start, and it was a really bad start. hard. And then kind of was making her move, and she had to really kind of shift out suddenly widest in the stretch. Finished an okay 5th in the race. And this is a race, you got Sweet Millie and Keychain Girl are both contenders, both got speed. And my second choice, Yvette Surprise, who is dropping from non-winners of 3 into a non-winners of 2 lifetime race. So that'd be my big handicapping angle for her, though, she's 1 for 13. My pick is 1 for 18. So it's just who's going to get the trip in here. I'm going to try the 5 and the 4 in the 7th.
Race number 8, we close out the card, spreading 6.5 furlongs in the flat turf course. It's a race for maiden claimer. Fillies and mares in for a $50,000 claiming tag. Program scratch of the 2 leaves us with a field of 8. Number 5, G Ho from the Mark Glatt barn is the 8-5 morning line favorite. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Billy, both G Ho and Precipice on the rail exit the same race, and G Ho lost to a Mark Glatt stablemate by the name of Yellow Sundress, who came back to win and earn a buyer speed figure of 77. But since this was such a good performance at this level for her, I wanted to show the replay for both Jiho and Precipice. As I mentioned, Jiho is going to be wearing saddlecloth number 5. Precipice is going to be wearing saddlecloth number 9. This replay we're about to watch was run at a distance of 6 furlongs. Today they get an extra half furlong. You be the judge who might be the benefactor of an extra half furlong. Let's listen to Frank Miramaya describe the action and watch the race.
And they're off. Kimberly's Devil is very fast away from the gate. On the inside, here's Yellow Sundress coming through, along with Sabres down at the rail. And Jai Ho is quicker than all. Jai Ho made the lead pretty easily, confronted by Sabres, who is now in front. Jai Ho gets a perfect tracking spot, well under a nice hold second. Then it's Yellow Sundress tucked in third, 3 clear of I'm Still In It. Kimberly's Devil is racing in between horses. The gray is Precipice outside of them. Then in without knock-in and Miss McWhinney into the far turn, and it's Sabres in front by a length. Jai Ho in second, moving to engage, still under a hold, and coming up nicely to challenge. It's another length and a half to I'm Still In It, racing on the outside of Yellow Sundress, and then Precipice. Yellow Sundress looking for room as the field turns for home. Jai Ho up to take the lead. Sabres at the rail, clear sailing for Yellow Sundress, who's now finishing very nicely. And here's Yellow Sundress. The Mark Glatt pair go on with it. Yellow Sundress up to Jai Ho and by. It's Yellow Sundress and Kyle Frey to win it. Jai Ho solid in defeat.
Billy, Jai Ho, excellent effort, finishing second. As I mentioned, Yellow Sundress came back to win, earning a buyer speed figure of 77. Sabres, who finished 4th, who we saw pressing the pace, came back to also win, albeit for a maiden 20 claiming race. That buyer speed figure came back a 73. Already looks to be a productive race. Do you like the favorite, or you're looking elsewhere in the nightcap?
I think the favorite's going to be tough in here for all the reasons you mentioned. Glad you mentioned the 4th place horse coming back to win as well. Not a whole lot of early speed in the race. Maybe the outside will show some speed, but Jai Ho broke well in that last race off of a long layoff in career star number 2, and I think that's her race to win today. Bob Hess Jr.'s got sometimes brings these horses in from Florida. I never know what to do with them.
Ship and win.
Yeah, ship and win. Queen Berkeley, which would be funny because Golden Gate Field's located partially in Berkeley. Didn't have the best trip in the world and didn't do that great, but is dropping in class. And that's what I like to see in these maiden claiming races, trying the turf for the first time, not the worst turf breeding in the world. So I thought Queen Berkeley was one to use underneath. And even though strikingly had plenty of chances, finally goes back down into a maiden claiming race. And last time on dirt, I think she's a little bit better on turf. And I know she's over 17, but someone to use in exotics. But I think the favorite, Jai Ho, is the one to beat in the nightcap.
5, 6, and 3 to close things out, close out the proceedings here at St. Billy D, it is great to see you back here in Southern California. As I mentioned at the opening, long overdue for you to be my seminar guest. Want to wish you not only good luck on your selections today, but of course, good luck with your career going forward. I know you'll find a landing spot that's going to be rock solid for you.
Thank you, TQ.
Thanks to all of you for watching as well. Hope you enjoyed it. Next voice you hear will be track announcer Frank Miramati updating us with any late changes. Have a great afternoon, everybody, and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.